What is up, everybody? I am NerdRage36, back with another pickups video. So, let's dig right into it. Starting off with sort of a follow-up from my last video. Another Ratchet & Clank strategy guide. Up your arsenal. Just remove the annul from that word. Seriously, Sony, how did it take you until the PS5 to notice the innuendos with this series? But, yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Like, I wasn't expecting to find this one specifically, and I think now I have every Ratchet & Clank strategy guide. I got the first two on PS2, and then I got the third one on PS2, and then I've got the two on PS3, even though there's still Deadlocked, Size Matters, Quest for Booty. You see what I mean? And Into the Nexus. So there's still 4 games that I don't think had strategy guides, which is kind of weird. So, like, just kind of bouncing all over the place with the strategy guides. But, yeah, it is cool to have this one to go along with them. Next up, another strategy guide, and one that was definitely be needing it. Shenmue 2. I got the game and the manual. Now I have the strategy guide. And I know that for Shenmue 1 and 2, they're a little more not cryptic, not like a super old school game, but you definitely kind of need to know like where you're going, or at the very least have a map on hand, especially for the first one from what I've heard. I have not seen a strategy guide for that game yet, but I think the one I want to look for is the Versus guide. I've heard that one is the most accurate. So yeah, I'll be looking for that. But it is cool to have the second game, and actually just like straight up maps. I like having level maps. What can I say? So next up, sort of a follow-up to a story from my Gaming Memories Part 2. I got a copy of Chrono Trigger DS from that same friend that worked at GameStop when I was in college. Like, a couple of times she would just bring random stuff that came into the store to our friend's basement, and we'd like rummage through it. And one of them was in fact Chrono Trigger DS, but it was specifically just the cartridge and the manual. I did not have the insert. I resorted to printing off my own insert, but the unfortunate part is that I didn't have the right kind of paper, and I didn't even trust myself to cut the insert. I folded it. This was, and plus some of the printing was a little off-center, so obviously that was a mistake. But now, I actually got an original case for it, and it's just the case, no cartridge, no manual. So it was really cheap. That's something that I would highly recommend to any DS collector out there. If you can find a loose case and or manual, especially if you can find a case and manual together, buy that. Even if it doesn't have the game, it's always cheaper than buying complete. And then the cartridges are always easier to find loose. So it's like kind of like what I did with Shenmue, and what I'm hoping to do with Fat Princess. You just Frankenstein a complete copy from cheaper, like, individual pieces. But yeah, this is an original insert. Hang on. Yeah, you hear that? That is quality printer paper. Or, not printer paper, but you know what I mean. So, with that, watch this. Complete in box, Chrono Trigger DS. And technically speaking, since I got it for free from a friend, the cartridge and manual, this was probably the cheapest copy of Chrono Trigger DS you'd probably ever be able to acquire, outside of getting it when it was new on the shelf back in the day. Up next is another GBA game, so I'm going to have to open it up here. Don't fall out. Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge. I've never heard that many people talk about this game, although I have seen some people say, like, I mean, it's short, it's nothing spectacular, but if you like the first two games, you're going to like this one. And what really drew me to this one, especially, is that I've also played the Spyro GBA games, and those games really did the, like, collectathon platforming elements, like, really well. Like, despite being on a GBA, they're not full 3D, but they're isometric, and they managed to translate the traditional Spyro gameplay almost perfectly to the GBA. I mean, there's a few hiccups here and there, but yeah, I mean, if Spyro can do that, like, I don't see any reason Banjo couldn't follow suit. And I like platformers, I like collectathons, so I can't wait to check it out. On the subject of handheld collectathon platformers, Mario 64 DS. Now, I'm not going to lie. I avoided this game for a while, mostly due to the fact that I did not like the concept. Like, I understand that people were, like, iffy on the character switching as a mechanic. I quite honestly didn't even like it just on a conceptual level, because, like, Mario 64, it was Mario's big 3D debut, and it's like, it's a big important adventure in just the Mario series in general. Like, why suddenly, like, toss it? Like, okay, Luigi and Yoshi, you know what, fine, that makes sense. In fact, Luigi was already supposed to be in Mario 64 too, but that got scrapped. So, like, okay, sure, why not? That makes sense, at least to some degree. But just randomly cramming in Wario is just weird. And then, of course, like, the clunkiness of the character switching. But I've sort of grown up since then. Like, I didn't like it conceptually, but I'm like, you know what? It's still Mario 64. They did their damnedest to get this game working almost perfectly on the handheld. And especially since I played DS games on a 3DS, it's a little more manageable. And playing on a 3DS, like, just closing the screen, like going into sleep mode, that definitely makes the more cumbersome elements a bit more easier to deal with, simply because you really can just stop and start at your leisure. And I think that's a huge benefit to handheld gaming, especially on things like the 3DS and the Switch. So I sort of just kind of sucked it up, and I'm like, you know what? I want to give this game a fair shot. I was unfair to this game for the longest time, and if I wanted to give Yoshi's Island DS a fair shot, I don't see any reason I can't give this a fair shot, especially because I hear more people talk positively about this version of the game than I do with even any discussion about Yoshi's Island DS. So why not? And on top of that, I have the original Mario 64 on Nintendo 64, and I have Mario 3D All-Stars. So this isn't a replacement game. It's just something to add to my pre-existing love of Mario 64 anyway. And finally, another DS game. Custom Robo Arena. And, hey Scott, even though it says Arena in the subtitle, this still isn't your typical basic wacky fighting game. It's once again an RPG. No! In fact, from looking into this series, this is awfully a lot like Pokemon. No! No! Although, given the premise, you could make the argument, oh, maybe it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or even freaking Beyblade. But from what I've looked into with the instruction manual here, let's see. These miniature and easily modified robots have become essential on every level of society. Robots help out with rescue operations, undersea exploration, and even law enforcement. So it's kind of like that opening of basically every Pokemon game, where it's like these little things help out with basically everyday society, and you can battle them for fun / skill building. Skill building. Why was that so hard to say? But yeah, this seemed like a rather interesting series. I mean, there's only 2 games in there, which seems weirdly common for certain Nintendo IPs. But much like another Nintendo IP, Chibi Robo, it was a lot easier to find the DS game of this series than it was to find the GameCube one. Granted, from the research I've done, the GameCube Custom Robo is not anywhere near as expensive as the GameCube Chibi Robo, so I'll be looking out for Custom Robo on the GameCube. I think it's just I don't run into it that often. Who knows, maybe I'll find it at a convention soon. But yeah, that's it for this pickups video. Hope you enjoyed it. And with all that, I am NerdRage36, and I'll see you later.